On the Level podcast, your Masonic podcast. Join the hosts Billy McIntyre and Sam Earl Sedgey as they delve into the world of Freemasonry.
Welcome to another episode of On the Level podcast. I have with me my blood brother, my brother from another mother, the visionary, the man himself, Billy McIntyre. How are you, Billy?
It's been an excellent day. Yeah, I can't ask for anything better. You know, I had the pleasure of coming and seeing you installed as master of your lodge, and I wouldn't have missed that for the world. It was a wonderful experience. We had a wonderful feast afterward. Sam's known for excellent feasts, and he put on a wonderful one. And then, you know, besides that, we've had the Grandmaster on. So that'll be the interview coming up after this.
Oh, mate, I'm glowing. I am absolutely glowing. It's kind of weird because, you know, I was installed Worshipful Master, and I shot out a couple of emails and text messages to a couple of people who I wanted to come, and it meant a lot to me if they came. And it was phenomenal. 57 people turned up. You came, which was a big deal for me, and Herman came, which was a big deal for me. My brethren, St. Paul's Lodge, and 12 of the lodges came. More from St. Paul's Lodge would have come if a lot of them weren't in England or in Brazil. But they made a post for me on the Grand Lodge Facebook, which was a surprise, and they took pictures and they posted it. And you know, of me being the installed worshipful master of Frank and Nicole. But what most importantly was the team, the team of officers who are with me in this year. They were also installed, and the absolute extreme honor and pleasure it is to serve them and be by their side and continue to build the team, which was kind of like passed down by the previous worshipful master, Ryan, who did a phenomenal job last year. Absolutely inspirational leader, someone who I admire a lot, and all the past masters of my lodge who are active and are there have just been pillars, absolute pillars of the lodge, and everything they did, the way they ran it. We went in the chapel, so many people came that we couldn't fit them in the lodge. So we had to do it in the church next to the lodge, which we did. You know, in a way, I'm just glad it was 57, because if everyone did come and they didn't have to do rededications and stuff that was planned well before, we'd have had about 120 people, and that would have been insane. I'm not sure how I was able to manage that, and the restaurant we wouldn't have been able to fit. We barely managed to fit.
They were scrambling before you got in there. They didn't know what they were going to do with the people.
So, you know, God had my back in that day, and you know, I'm just very blessed to and kind of in shock, because I expected 20, 25 people to come, maybe 15 people. So in the area that I'm in, the most I've seen in an installation has been about 12 people, sometimes 7, maybe pushing it 15. Usually it's about 8, 9 people, 10 people. If it's open, maybe 12, 14 people, tops 15. But 57 people, dude, that's
incredible.
That's the same number as, you know, a York Rite Day, or, you know, a big festive day that I usually go to, or a reception, for you know, a couple of people. So it was a big deal. And what was really phenomenal was now having the responsibility of managing the lodge, running a lodge with my peers and my brothers, and working as a team to build it. And the fact that we have so many stakeholders, as in past masters and new members. And I'm very aware of the time I've got left. Now, bear in mind, it's been the 3 days, but I've got less than 12 months.
It goes so fast,
and that's not a lot of time. So I have 12 months to have an effect and have a positive impact. So for me, it's not about me now. It's about working with my senior warden, who's going to become the next worshipful master, and working with the junior warden and the senior and then the senior deacon, who's going to be worshipful master in 3 years, and so making sure that everyone has a vision of building the lodge and attaining those. So when they get in, they're in command of more quality men in terms of there's a bigger lodge, more that we can do for the community and for the lodge and for the brethren, and just enjoy that fellowship that we're going to talk about with
Sure.
our Grand Master of the state, most worshipful Grandmaster of the state of Illinois. So it's just really, I'm really excited. I'm a ritualist, as we've said, so I can't wait to get stuck in, and I've already started. And I want to be able to basically do all the obligations and all that kind of stuff, and I'm going to try and attempt that in November and in December, and do as much as I can, and pull as much wisdom as I can from those who were there before me. Because what's really interesting, Billy, is like I've been eminent commander of the York Rite.
Mm-hmm.
I've been high priest of the Royal Arch. I've been a thrice illustrious master. I've been Grand Chaplain for a couple of years, I think 2 years. I was Judge Advocate for the World for the International Order of the Patriarch Militants of the Odd Fellows. I'm now Inspector General. I've had positions before in various different places, and I've sat on many different boards and done a lot. I've done a lot inside of
Yeah.
Masonry, outside of Masonry, inside of fraternal organizations, outside of fraternal organizations. But what's really exciting for me and humbling for me, especially as someone who runs his own businesses, and is a bit, I do a lot of different types of businesses, and I sit on a lot of seats. Is It's always a blessing when you're an owner of a business, or you've done many businesses or have many businesses that you've sort of ran yourself, and everyone's kind of been very dependent on yourself, to walk in and have people who have ran an organization before, who have been worshipful master and a past master, who have sat in that seat, who have put their heart into that chair, and have tried to take their lodge to the best they can with the time that they had on that chair. So it's really nice being able to pull from that experience, as opposed of, here's a business plan, here's a new business I want to do, like I've done 20 years ago, and I've been very successful at the stuff I've done. But, making a lot of stuff up along the way, making loads of mistakes along the way, because you didn't have those mentors.
Yeah.
You didn't have those
Well,
people to rely on.
I'll tell you that, and you're going to see that this is the way it is. I've been blessed enough to be past master of two different lodges that I belong to, Redbud Lodge number 427 and Chester Lodge number 72. But that first time I was master in Redbud, and I was also most illustrious grandmaster, so I've had a few positions of leadership, but I can tell you nothing touched my heart and left me feeling as hollow as that first time when you get done with being master of your lodge, because we were pretty active, and we did a lot of things, and I was really proud of how the year went. We brought in several new people, and we had a lot of people do a lot of things. We all got certified in our chairs except for myself, and I was working on it but never quite got there. But we got a lot of people. We just had an outstanding year, and I'd always been, since the minute I come in that lodge, I'd been in a chair, and went through all the chairs except for secretary and chaplain and treasurer. We went in order and had to go through the chairs, and I'm thankful we did, because I learned so much that way. But when that year was over, it was just like I lost a family member. Because all of a sudden I ended up in a chair again. But just all of a sudden you didn't have anything anymore, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's over. Now, sure, I can get back in line, but that's not fair to the new people. We want to let everybody get a chance to show because the diversity is what makes us strong. But I can tell you what, and you'll see. I know you've done a lot of things in life, but when your time's up, especially if you've had a good year, you're going to think, "Oh man, it's gone." But it's not. It just takes you a little while to realize that.
That's what, that's really interesting, and I've kind of identified that with other past masters, and we've just, as I said, had a phenomenal worshipful master who was just fantastic. To me, he was a a true leader, and his name is the Worshipful Brother Ryan Miner, who also listens to the show,
Mm-hmm.
by the way. And Ryan was phenomenal, and it's like, well, I said to Ryan, Ryan, your job's not over. You've done so much, and there are so many bonds that you have built that it will be a shame for me to restart and re-engage with bridges and bonds that you already built. So why don't you continue doing that? And what I am very lucky to be in a position and the age I am and the experience I have that I bring from other industries into Freemasonry, where I'm like, well, why don't you be the chairman of our Scholastic Bowl that supports a school or another lodge, and let's build on that. Maybe in 4 or 5 years' time, we can jointly have Masonic T-shirts for the school team that we're supporting,
Yeah.
or actually, not even Masonic T-shirts, just T-shirts for the school, school uniform
Yeah.
for the thing. So he's already on it. He's already built that relationship with that lodge. He's already got that contact. He's already familiar with the school teachers. So instead of me repeating all of that and rebuilding all those things, why not use the man who loves doing it to continue to do that? He's now our treasurer, which is taking on a new job, which is a very important job as well. But I think for me, it would be, and I'm doing it, like, for example, we've got another past master, Worshipful Brother Charles Robertson, who is just a fantastic, just an amazing brother.
It's a wonderful man.
I could just, oh my God, this guy is just a legend. He is legendary, just like Ryan is, and the rest of it. He is a legend, and there's so much he does, and with humility, with absolute humility, like, no medals, no titles, just absolute humility. He's just, because he loves the lodge, he loves the brothers. There's a sense of oath and honor of being a member of Frank and Nicole. And it's like, well, why don't you be the chairman of our Masters Awards of Excellence that he really has been championing him, and because of him and Ryan last year and the rest of us, we got a silver, which was great. So why don't he does? And then why don't we have a ritualistic committee where we put both Ryan and Charles, and they figure out, So the point is, the past masters have a role, and it's identifying what those roles are good at. Do you have a past master who can just pack the lodge out with people? Whether it's a degree work or the connections that past master has built, and he can bring loads of people. So when a third degree Mason is raised, you go to that past master and say, hey, can you bring a whole army of brothers to celebrate this guy? And here is this guy with 30, 40 Masons from different lodges and, their own lodge coming and celebrating it and binding the area together. So you got those kind of people. You got the past masters who are just really good at, maintaining the lodge because of their profession or whatever. I think we need to utilize. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in committees and make them the chairmen. And my rule is only a past master can be chair, and new brothers can be assistants or go on it, but they're there to assist the chair and learn from the wisdom. And once they become a past master, then they get to become a chair of one of these exalted committees, and then that gives that past master a recognition of their worth and how important they are to the lodge. So when he comes to the lodge, he's just not sitting on the sidelines anymore, and he's a resource that is being used within the realms of a committee.
Let me say this, and this is from past experience, and I know there's people that listen, and I wouldn't hurt a brother's feelings for anything, so I'm just going to leave it as a lodge that I go to a lot. But there's a lodge that I go to, and no past masters after they get out of the chair ever come back. Now, that's a broad brush, but I'm just saying they're no longer. And so to me, just like a new brother, you want to get them active, because if they're active, they will come back. They have you give them a job and they'll come back. And the same goes for a past master. And you would think, well, they know they're needed. We made it all the way to master, but a lot of masters have that hole and they just think, well, I'm done. They don't need me no more, and they disappear. And that's a shame because you lose a wealth of information with that. Because there's people that not only they're good ritualists, there's good leaders. And and I know some of the best ritualists don't make a good leader. And just like you know, some of the best masters aren't good ritualists. It's just people have different skills.
100%, 100%.
And the lodge needs all the different skills is what I'm getting at. And we need to keep everybody active and just make sure as we talked about before, make sure these people feel appreciated because they did give a lot of their life to be the master of that lodge.
I agree. And so when I end finishing master, I would love to be on a committee where I am of use. Not every committee is something that is going to fire someone up, but if there's a committee like, I don't know, a committee for me, I guess, would be focusing on festive boards, and building that festive fellowship beyond the lodge. Do it once a quarter. All the brothers of Frank and Nicole get together, and then I could do the Tyler's Toast, and maybe it's a committee of retention and retaining members or building members or what, I don't know, but I'm sure the brothers would know where to put me, as opposed to me putting myself in a self-appointed committee. But we all have our roles to play, and if we can identify a lot of things that people are good at. If someone's good at 3 different things, what's the one thing they're really, really good at the most?
Right.
Put them in that. And then use that engine, that fire of enthusiasm to get the most out of them, and get them. So what I'm saying is get the most out of me. Just because I'm no longer a past master, get the most. And I wish some of the other bodies I was part of, when I went through those chairs and I did the Eminent Commander or the Thrice Illustrious, I wish they gave me a position where they saw, because back in my days, even as a brother, I was famous for packing out degree work. I could bring 30 to 40 people to a degree to support a brother, and just so the new candidate can see all these Masons have come just for their 3rd degree. And the reason why...
And that means so much to them.
Exactly. And the reason why I could do that is I would travel and I would help and I would support these brothers and their degrees and have fun with them and have an impact in that degree work to make sure that candidate has a great impact. And so you make these bonds. So, find the strength in people. There's some people who are really good at accounting or finance and may really help the treasury. I mean, there could be some things that are completely out of my left field here that other people, I'll be like, oh, dude, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in looking at the members' rosters and, finding how many are inactive and giving them a call. But there are some people who really like that. Some people who really like to sit down and go through them and call everyone, say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? So I think it's incumbent on us to find out our strengths. And the only way you can find out the strengths is fellowship, not guesswork.
Yeah, I want to go. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go on.
No, I was going to say I want to go down another rabbit hole, but it all connects in if you give me just a second.
No, go for it.
So it's very important to me, and and this isn't a bragging, this is just a talking point I have. So I'm blessed enough to be an honorary member of 9 different lodges. And that's because I travel a lot. So what Sam touched on is so true. And I've said this to the members of our lodge, don't expect these guys to show up and help you if you never, or no one from your lodge ever turns up to help them. I mean, yeah, they'll do it for a while, but they won't keep coming if you don't return the favor, because that means so much to another brother that that you turn up, even if you can't do much work, but you're there to support their candidate. They'll come return the favor over and over. I promise you. It's very important.
100%, 100%. And I'm very close to my brothers, and they are my brothers of St. Paul's Lodge, 500 in Springfield. And they're my 2 favorite lodges in my area. Is the one I do. Obviously, Frank and Nicole, of which I'm Worshipful Master now, and St. Paul's Lodge. And these are lodges when I leave, I'm buzzing. The hair on my back is standing, doing a festive ball and a Tyler's Toast with the brothers of St. Paul's Lodge at the home plate. I just love, standing up and having a toast to the Grandmaster of Illinois and then to the Grand Officers, and then making a toast to the Worshipful Master, and then everyone's now really enjoying this whilst they're drinking in the home plate, and then making a toast to the candidate, and the candidate gets up and he's enjoying it, and then suddenly you tap the table and say, "Worshipful Master, I demand a response from the candidate." And the candidate's like, "What?" And he's like, you catch them off guard, and then they have to stand up and share their thoughts of the night and time that's been spent with his brothers. And there's a lot of things like the firing of the charges that happens that I'm trying to import from England, and I've had quite some success in some places. But my point being is, you are right. It's building that quality of people, traveling, being there for brothers, and having an impact in their lives, and them having an impact in your lives, and then working together to create this fantastic fraternity that really makes good men better men, and really has a positive impact in your life. I've become a lot more...
And if I could...
Go on.
I want to get off my stump after this time, but I just got one more thing I really think is important for people to think about is if you see somebody from another lodge coming, please go sit with them and eat. Don't let them sit by themselves, because guys, just like it's important for you to visit them, when they visit you, make them know that you're thankful, because then they will come back also. And I know this is common sense, and most people's going, well, no kidding. But people don't know that. You would think they would know that. But we get so caught in our little group that we're all friends. We're all buddies, because we're all in the brothers. But there's some people that you just pull to, and that's natural. But don't just sit in your little group and pretend like nobody else is there, because that guy might be feeling low tonight, but he thought, maybe I can come to this lodge and feel a little bit better. And it's your job as a brother to thank him and make sure him feel welcome.
Well said. Well said. I mean, I think what you're trying to say is be observant of everyone. Be observant. Yeah. Be observant of the guy in the corner who's sitting by himself. Why is he sitting by himself? It's your duty to, he's a brother. Bring him in. If he's a candidate, don't let him sit. Don't let the candidate sit in the corner by himself. Bring him in. We are brothers. Not saying like be like a Viking, brother, or be like brothers of a Templar of old, and have that kind of brevity and the gravity of that. Come, my friend, let's go hunting together and slay some boars. Yeah. No, but get to know everyone. You'll be fascinated. You'll be fascinated by their stories. I mean, I wish one of the lessons I learned just from the installation is, because I've been so busy in the past year and I've been traveling quite a bit, and there were these two new brothers who I quite like, but I haven't really had the time to get to know them. And then suddenly I realized that, hold on, one of them, their wives were very involved in the Rainbows and Bethel stuff, and is now making me and my wife a birthday cake, which is amazing. And I wish I've got to know him, but he's really into Star Wars and into 3D printing, and he's a gamer like I am. Oh my God, why did I not know this? And then there's another one who, very similar story. I've known his kids for a couple of years now through DMLA, but I didn't know he was their dad. And hold on a second, these are your kids? Oh my God, what a little world. And it's like, geez, I've seen these guys around the state in different functions and meetings, and was always very impressed by them. And wow, that's insane. That's awesome. I think I was there at a DMLA thing where I was in my Knights Templar cloak, and I brought my sword and I brought my cap, and the kids loved it. And one of his boy was there, and his boy remembers me. And so and then he was there in the installation. And as every officer got up from their seat, he would gracefully walk and pick up the chairs and put it away. And that was awesome. That was freaking awesome. I guess the point of this rant that we're having, and this excitement and enthusiasm that we have, is try to codify the lessons that we've learned. Try to utilize every member of your lodge and more importantly, there's a lot of wealth and wisdom from those who were past masters, and also to the past masters as well. Because so that when I become a past master, and you're very much like this as well, don't have a feel or need that you must control or micromanage every aspect of your lodge
Right.
because you have no faith in your brethren. Spend time with your brethren. Get to know your brethren. Give them sound words of wisdoms to your brethren. And then suddenly you'll find out that these brothers are very capable. And where they fall short, they will call upon you and ask you for that help, like I am to many of
Yep.
them, and utilizing their strength and their wisdom to ensure that my ensuing year is great and good. And if we all can do that and learn from each other, then not just will this lodge of mine, Frank and Nicole, and my brethren's lodge grow and become, something beyond what I can imagine today. Every lodge will be like that. But we as past masters, because as soon as you become a master, a worshipful master, you are a past master. It's incumbent, to move away from micromanaging everything and not trusting your brothers, and that talks about the quality of men you bring in. So that's why when we go and we interview the good men, it's very important to get the right person and the right fit for the lodge in, and be very, very dedicated in making sure this is the right person who will be turning up, who will be contributing, who will be bringing, a great positive contribution towards the lodge. So there's a lot for us that we can do, that has to be done as a team, but many hands make light work. And as long as
Yeah.
we've got many, many hands making light work, work becomes easy and it's more fun. So there's a lot to unpack here, and I think we would not be doing service of trying to discuss everything at once because we don't have enough time. But we should, I think, do a series of, talking to other lodges, which Cairo Lodge you guys should have listened to, and we're going to get other lodges like St. Paul's Lodge on, and we'll talk to them as well to give other brothers around the state and around the world an insight into how glorious and how awesome your Masonic Lodge is or can be, and hopefully we can steal ideas from each other, import and export
Sure.
ideas. And the Cairo episode was fantastic, and you guys should already have already listened to that. This episode is phenomenal. Our Grandmaster, most worshipful Grandmaster Joe Farrell. Oh my God, he was a blast. And I
A
guess
wonderful man.
I think Billy, this is the start of some amazing things to come in this podcast, and I'm really humbled and how it's all organically grown, and all the listeners we've had, and all the nice warm words that we've had about the podcast. So thank you guys, and as always, before we go to the next interview, any last words, Billy?
Yeah. If you enjoy this, please share it with your friends because that helps us grow. And if you have any ideas, reach out to us out on Facebook or, on our Facebook page. You can leave a comment or tell us what you think, if you want us to cover something else. But guys, as always, I'll say Godspeed and please come back and watch us every time you get a chance.
And we're back. We're back, and it is a great honor and a great privilege to have the most worshipful Grand Master of the state of Illinois of free and agent accepted Freemasons, Joe Farrell. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you guys?
We're wonderful.
I'm doing great.
Good. Well, thanks for the invite to be on here, Sam and Billy. I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully we'll have some fun. And
Yeah, our goal with this is to get Masons that may not be active back active, and maybe some people that are listening that are not Masons, maybe they'll want to join. So we'll keep these to where questions and answers that we can talk about to anyone. So
sounds good.
So Grandmaster, I'd like to start off at how long have you been a Mason?
About 16 years. I was at a buddy's house, and his grandfather was a World War II vet. and he was going over to the local American Legion post, and he asked if we wanted to go have a few beers. And of course, well, never wanted to pass up a beer, especially back in those days.
Yeah.
We went over, and a couple of his veteran buddies were there, and we were just talking, and somewhere along the lines, a petition was put in my hand, and we went from there.
That's awesome. That's great. So, could you tell us what lodge you belong to? What's your home lodge, I mean?
Well, I was raised in Azure Lodge number 1153, and then became a plural member of a Grange Lodge number 770. And a few years back, they consolidated into form Azure LaGrange number 770, and we meet in Riverside, Illinois.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, well, a lot of people be wondering the same question as I am, and what made you feel like you wanted to become a member of the Grand Lodge? Because we all know it's a lot of driving and a lot of work, and it takes up a lot of time.
Oh, it sure does. And the driving is probably the worst part of being in the Grand Line. Everything else is actually pretty much a lot of fun. But my friend and brother and mentor, Herb Lindbergh, who passed away on September 11th, he was district deputy for my lodge, and we became friends, and he convinced me to replace him when he retired. So I took over as district deputy of the then 10th Northeast District. And, again, Herb and I just stayed friends for a while, and we were always in communication, and he was always pushing me. And one day, kind of jokingly, I think the emails went out about they were going to interview for junior Grand Deacon, and I kind of made a joke saying, I should do that. And he said, well, yeah, absolutely you should. And I said, well, no, Herb, I'm really just joking. He goes, no, you got to do it, because I promise you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it on the first try. But, in the future, they'll know you're interested. Well,
Yeah.
I went, I interviewed, and lo and behold, I got it.
You got it the first try. Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Because I've talked to a lot of brothers that have interviewed, and they just said, oh, wow, there's too many people. They didn't want me. And I said, well, maybe, they want you later, but I don't think I've ever talked to anybody that got it the first try. So now I can't say that anymore.
Well, I'll tell you what, we do get a lot of people, and I would say a solid 98% of them are more than qualified. And that's the problem. The last few interview cycles, we've had an embarrassment of riches. We've had so many good people, and it made it so difficult to narrow it down and make a choice. But I guess that's part of the leadership. You have to make those hard decisions and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's much rather to have 10 or 20 great people wanting it as to a couple bad ones. Absolutely. Or not qualified, not bad, but you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. So you're new here, and I are new as the Grand Master, and we talked to your predecessor, most worshipful past Grand Master, I guess, David Lynch, and kind of got his thoughts on stuff, and he went a direction, and me and Sam took just glowed about the Grand Line, because I tell you, I've seen lines, and I've seen smaller lines besides the Grand Line, and this line seems to gel so well. And I'd like to see if you would speak about that a little bit, and then maybe tell me about your plan for the future in your 2 years.
All right. Well, I agree. I think we do mesh and gel very well, and I think that's been the case for a long time. Past Grandmaster Krakow was Grandmaster when I was appointed to the bottom of the line, and I got to tell you, he really did encourage a lot of camaraderie, a lot of friendship, because you do spend an awful lot of time with the guys in line, and our ladies do too, and we call each other the Grand Family, and because we really truly are a family, but like any family and with brothers, we have disagreements. I'd never say I wouldn't say we have fights, but we have disagreements, and we talk about it like Masons should, and we usually come to a nice happy median on things where both parties or all parties see each other's points of view, and we make decisions based on mutual respect and friendship. I don't know what the mileage is off the top of my head, but God, with past Grandmaster Lynch or Crocco or our senior Grand Warden Angelo DeSerio, because they're from the Northeast area where I'm from. God, I just can't even calculate the amount of miles we've driven together throughout the years. It's a massive amount.
Yeah, well, I talked to Grandmaster David Lynch. I told him, you're way up there in Chicago area, just like I might not even trying to compare what little line I was in compared to yours, but I'm just talking. I put a heck of a lot of miles on because I'm so far south, and I'm traveling almost everything's up north, or seem to be for me. But I'm sure you travel a lot down south, and so it'd be so much more handy if I lived in Springfield. Is all I'm trying to say.
Well, there's truth to that, and I agree. And I do get down south a lot, and all the areas really. I probably don't get to the northern area as much as I should, and I'm hoping I can rectify that over the next 2 years. But I very much enjoy coming down to the south. Mostly because when you come down there, you usually get fed a pretty good meal, and it's usually pulled pork.
Absolutely, and green beans.
And green beans. Well, you got to have green beans. I mean, that's just. I think that's in the code book somewhere.
I think that's what I had an old guy tell me that's what the G really stands for. Green beans.
Oh, now you're giving away the only Masonic secret there really is.
Oh, damn. Yeah. There we go. The cat's out of the bag. I just wanted to, first of all, congratulate you of being newly installed as the most worshipful Grandmaster for the state of Illinois.
Thank you.
Fortunately, I was unable. I was planning to make it, but I was driving from Las Vegas all the way to Peoria, which was 1,680 miles to the dot, and the trailer that I was pulling, the right wheel kind of like blew up. And I had to, park in the highway on the sidelines, and a good American Christian man came along within 5 minutes. He had a trailer, 3 weeks. He had, what was the chances? He had the trailer, he had his wife with him, and he had 3 spare tires, and he just fitted a new tire on for me, and I was on my way. But that caused a bit of delays because I had to go and get matching tires and stuff like that. But I wish I was there. And, as an observer watching the Grand Line over the past couple of years, it's phenomenal. Good, strong leadership is emblematical of good, strong growth within the institution. And what's really exciting is Masonry in Illinois is growing. That was the message and the data we got last year, and I believe that's still the case this year. And it's fantastic to see you guys support so many things. We had the chairman of the Scholastic Bowl on quite recently, and the immense support the Grand Lodge does for that and for the kids in supporting such a fantastic event as the Masonic Scholastic Bowl. And there's so much humility. Like, I was never aware of this, but that what happened, because you don't have in brand neon blue lights. This is the Masonic Scholastic Bowl. It's really the Scholastic Bowl, and we just kind of like support them and let the event itself be the main kind of like attraction. And there's so many other things that you guys do in an institution where there are so many challenges with all the distractions that we face in this day and age with technology and the working environment for men. So my hat's off to you. Now, there's some things I want to talk about actually, Grandmaster and Billy. Was just recently installed as Worshipful Master as well, which is kind of nice as well. And I'm still glowing from that because we had about 57 people turn up, and then about 40 odd for the festive feast that we had. And there were a lot of people that couldn't turn up, like yourself. Yeah, there was a rededication that you guys did for 150 years, which was awesome. I saw those pictures. I was like, oh my God, I wish I was there. And there are other things that are going on as well. And it was really nice. And what was really nice, and when you said family, is exactly how I felt in Frank and Nicole Lodge is that family, and the fact that the brothers did so much that day to make it work in the church that it was held, because there was way too many people could not fit in the lodge that we have. The way it all went smoothly, and seeing the upcoming new brothers really taking pride of a lodge, having brothers from like St. Paul's Lodge, and we had about 12 different lodges turn up, and the fact that a lot of our St. Paul Lodge brothers, or St. Paul Lodge 500, they were in England, and one was in Brazil, and so they couldn't, not all of them could have made it, and they really wanted to make it as well. But I would have preferred them to be in England and Brazil, because that's an experience as well. And I hope that you, if you have the chance to go to England, that'll be absolutely epic. And make sure you let me know, because I want to be there with you when you're received, because that'll be insane.
I appreciate it. I've been to England over the years, but never as a Mason. So that would be a great trip.
That would be absolutely insane, and they will love to have you. I mean, even as a brother, like I went there as a brother to England, and they really look after you, and you feel like you're a brother, and you're part of the family, and that to me kind of like just warmed my heart. I felt like I was like in a lodge in Illinois, and that it's just so nice to be part of a fraternal organization where faith, hope, and charity is kind of like ingrained in not only one's mind but also one's heart. But my question to you, Grandmaster, is talk more about the family and also the past Grandmasters, and how they've kind of like affected you, and kind of like your mission in terms of touching what Billy said, your mission in the next 2 years, because you do have kind of like a very limited time. You have 24 months, and kind of like for me, for those who don't know, when in Illinois and also in England, when you're installed as Worshipful Master, you've got 12 months. Now the Grandmaster in England, he's kind of like indefinite. He's been 52 years, but in Illinois, it's basically 2 years. So I want to touch on what you're going to say in a second, because I've got my thoughts. But what is your kind of like your mission for the next 2 years, and the legacy that you want others to follow in your footsteps?
Well, legacy and fellowship is my theme, and it's awfully encompassing, right? Legacy isn't just the past; it's the future. So while we have to be mindful of what made Masonry great in Illinois and in the world, really, we don't want to lose that, but we can't stay stagnant. We have to be planning for the next 175 years, the next 200 years.
Right.
And I don't know that there's any real simple answer to that, to the whole legacy thing, because it's so broad. Fellowship, though, fellowship, fellowship is not just done in a tiled meeting. It's done outside of the lodge. It's with events with your family. It's sitting at a brother's backyard with a bonfire, maybe ordering a pizza if they have a TV outside and it's a nice night, watching a sporting event. It's axe throwing, it's bowling, it's whatever your community, your lodge, your area does to have fun, and it's doing it with your brothers. And if you can build that friendship and that fellowship, then Masonry truly will never die, because there'll be always good men looking to experience more of that. They're going to see these guys who are having so much fun with each other and just enjoying each other's company. Good men are going to go, God, I want that. I want that in my life. And that then really kind of feeds into the legacy, because now you've got more good men who will perpetually be bringing in more good men.
Mm-hmm.
At least
and they'll be
hope.
active because they want to be around those people that they have so much fun with.
Exactly. And, past Grandmaster Jackson, he used to love to say, lodges that don't have money don't go away because they're broke. They go away because they don't have activity. Activity breeds success, even if the lodge has no money. And he's so true. It's the truest thing I think I've heard.
That's so true. I mean, I was smiling when you said that. So, what's really funny is my and there's a crew up north as well that that share their adventures as well. I have a local Dungeons and Dragons crew where we sit down and role play, and we're all brothers. We're all Masons of different lodges, but we're all brothers, and we meet up regularly. And one had their 50th. We had a double 50th actually, and then we rented out a villa in up north, and then we just played board games for 2 days. And I would have never met these gentlemen if it wasn't for Masonry. And when I first met them, it was a worshipful master of one lodge. I'm part of 5 lodges. The first lodge I was in Illinois was Grandview, and the worshipful master at that time, he's a past master now, Dr. J. Harms, was like, "Oh, would you like to come over to my house and I'll introduce you to some of my friends who by that time weren't Masons, but because we played, I got them into Masonry, and now we've got a bigger crew, and there's 2 more who now have settled in Illinois." Great men, just really good, well-grounded guys who've got your backs. They come around and they help out in the yard, and I go and help them out. And once one of them is settled, and his brother, it's looking like they're coming in, and hopefully, with a petition, and if they're worthy, they'll be members of one of our lodges, and that's exactly what it is. And then there's other things, the traveling I've done with brothers, all sorts of different brothers. It's just been phenomenal, and you do belong to that fellowship. And I think that what you said is really important. It's not about just coming in, doing the minutes, and then everyone just disappears and goes away. It's about building those bonds. It's about building those friendships, getting to know each other, getting to understand each other, and then building that bridge of what we call brotherly love. And things just happen. I mean, when I said we had 56 people, these 56 people didn't just turn up from everywhere. This was years of meeting brothers and doing great ritual, and doing different degree works and parts. And
absolutely.
I'm the kind of guy who always likes a good feast. And I always kind of like, try and encourage them and say, let's go and feast, let's go and eat. And, some people, it's like, we've got something called Marmite in England, and you either love Marmite or you hate it. And all those guys who love feasting came. And so, I just sent them a message and a call, and suddenly all these people turned up, and every single one of these people have kind of touched me. Even whether we even was watching. What's really funny is I went and very early on and helped saw the Demolay and the Rainbow Girls, and I didn't realize, this is the humility of our brethren. I didn't realize that 2 of the kids who I've kind of seen in the same Demolay group that I've supported, my brethren have supported through the years, were actually new brothers of my lodge. And I'm like, "Oh my God, you're the father!" Like, yes, it's like, "Oh my God, I've known these kids for years, and they're awesome." Now it all makes sense. And so, so there's a bit of that. And that reminds me, it's like, well, I've got to get to know my new brothers really well. I've got to do a quarterly festive board, whether it's just going to pizza and all of us chipping in and just sitting down and relaxing after a lodge meeting. I think fellowship is the key. Fellowship, Grandmaster, is what I think brings people to do the ritual, brings people to do the work, and make it fun. And then when they see the effort that's put in to the work, to the good work that we do, the candidates then feel it as well. Anyhow, I'm going off on a tangent and a rant like I normally do, but my next point, Grandmaster, is you touched on fellowship, and you touched on legacy, and I find that really, really interesting. My question is where do you see? I mean, we know Illinois Freemasonry is growing. Where do you see us? Where would you like to see us in 2 years in terms of the state?
Well, you're right. We are growing. So, what was it? 2 years ago at Grand Lodge, or Annual Communication, it was 2 or 3 years ago, we had 40 lodges that had positive growth. Now we've got just under 400 lodges here in Illinois.
Yeah.
Wow.
And 40 lodges at that time had positive growth. Last year, not the communication that we just left, but last year, we had 80 lodges with positive growth.
Oh,
and
wow.
this year, we had 81 lodges with positive growth.
That's awesome.
Which is wonderful. That tells me that our brethren are out there bringing in quality masons. Quantity is important, but what blows that out of the water is quality.
100%.
I'd take 5 quality masons over 100 that are just going to show up once in a while, not contribute to the lodge, not really grasp what masonry is about. And, quality is the key.
Well said.
Well, now I went off on my own little thing, and now I don't remember what your question was.
No, so where so we're in the growth of 81 lodges this year and 81 before, which is absolutely phenomenal, and you're absolutely right. One thing you're actually spot on. Quality is so important, and so that's something that I'm going to be talking about in our next stated meeting. But the question is, what is the kind of like the vision in terms of where you would like to see things in 2 years?
Well, in 2 years, I'd like to see us having 400 lodges with positive growth, which I know is not very likely. But I legitimately would just like to see continued growth, and one of my big pushes also during my tenure is going to be commissioned lodge instructors. Now, to me, this is very important. Now, I'm not a phenomenal ritualist. I know what I know, and I do it well, but I'm never going to be a grand lecturer. But we need them. We need certified lodge instructors. We need grand lecturers, because back to legacy, our ritual is our legacy. Right. And there are so many fraternal organizations out there that do have ritual and do have floor work, but I'm not trying to diminish any of them, but I've got to be honest, I don't think a single one of those organizations can light a candle to the ritual, the beauty of the ritual and the floor work of masonry, and in particular Illinois masonry. I'm really proud of Illinois masonry and our ritual and floor work. I think our brothers, and I'll probably get in trouble from other grandmasters for this, but I think our brothers are the best there is. I don't think there's another jurisdiction that can hold a candle.
Well, I can say this because I don't know a lot of grandmasters, except for maybe the one in Indiana. But I'll say that I've seen several different states, and I think our floor work is outstanding. Now, I'm not saying some of the ritual doesn't add stuff to some of our degrees that I don't know if we left it out or they put it in, but there's some stuff you go, oh yeah, wait a second, that adds this, But floor work, I've never seen anybody do rod work any better than ours.
Nope, I would agree.
Well, what's really interesting, and as you can say, I have a very funny accent, which is English. So I wasn't born and raised in Illinois, and I've had the privilege of traveling far and wide, not only in the US and going to lodges in Texas and other places, and also many lodges in England. And although I love the craft that we do in England, for me it's very difficult to. So in England, especially in London and in the English in the province that I'm in London, there are different types of lodges. So you have like 5 different types of lodges with 5 different types of rituals, and one's very laissez-faire, and then there's a stringent one. So there's different work floor formats in it, and my English brothers know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've been to other places, and what's really remarkable is what the Grandmaster has just said, and what Billy has just said is actually very true. The ritual here it's the closest to the originals, because I've read the original text in the United Grand Lodge of England in the library. I'm a member of the library, and the rod work, all the footwork is absolutely insanely phenomenal if you get it, if you do it all right and you practice hard, and it's something that I think needs to be retained, because what's happened is, like, if you go to Texas, their ritual in terms of verbal ritual is immaculate. It's off the charts, because they still do mouth to mouth, word to word. They teach the ritual orally to each other. Mm-hmm. There's no books, but there's no floor work. So when I was first sitting there and then seeing them, walking all over and no rod work, I was kind of shocked. And I was like, oh, okay, this is how they do it. So they gave up that, but they focused on one aspect. But Illinois Freemasonry, which follows very much from the Scottish Freemasonry, which is kind of known as like the most hardcore type of Freemasonry there is around the world. Illinois Freemasonry, at least in America, has really retained a lot of the historical authenticity of Freemasonry. So when you're actually doing all, and also one of the oldest types of Freemasonry is Scottish Freemasonry, and actually predates, some would argue, English Freemasonry. So what's really interesting is the preservation of the ritual. The fact that our brethren, 150 years ago, 200 years ago, and now we know there were Freemasons in the 14th century. That's just been announced in a British historical documentary on Freemasonry. We've been around for a long time, and now they've accepted something that I've been going around in lectures saying is the Grand Lodge was a unification of 4 lodges, and there was a unification of Freemasonry that then codified Freemasonry, what we have today. So I'm just trying to back both of what, as an Englishman. So you see, it's very I'm very proud of being English, but I've got to call a spade, and something that's very special if you're listening around the world, and if you've got the time as a brother to travel, or if you're in Illinois and you're interested in Freemasonry, piqued your interest, do come and see what it's all about, because it is profound. And the most important thing, though, is what you're saying. Finding the quality men who will participate and who will get active, and not everyone, as you said, is quite right, is going to be that grand lecturer or the ritualist. However, everyone, what's really funny when you go around the lodges, and even my lodge, everyone has a part to play, and their parts are as equally as crucial as someone who just loves doing ritual and loves doing pages of it, like myself. But everyone has a role to play. Everyone has a key aspect, that something that I can't do or is not within my kind of like my wingspan. And that's why I find the lodge an incredible facet of men who are able to work together and bring the best out of each other and put people in the right place. So, for example, in my lodge, we have a fantastic number of past masters. And these past masters are like the organs, and they've really built the lodge to a point where, people like myself and the newer brothers learn so much from them. So, for example, this Thursday we have a practice at 7. I'm now the Worshipful Master, but I'm going to be leaning on these men who have done the rituals for eons and know the timing and the cadence and all that, and can teach all of us how to get it near as perfect as possible. And the reason why we do it is we're doing it for the candidate. We're doing it for the new member. And so I'm sorry, I know I've gone off another tangent, but you are absolutely right on that, on the point of our fellowship, and also that fact that the ritual is profound. And I hope and I pray that in your tenure, Grandmasters, and the Grandmasters who are to follow you, who are part of that Grand Lodge line family that you spoke, continue to preserve the preservation of that ritual, which to me is so sacred and has got so many profound meanings that you kind of learn over time, and so yeah, that's my bit on that. My apologies for ranting once again, but let's go back to the Grandmaster. Billy, any questions for a Grandmaster?
I do. I've had people ask me a lot of things about a lot of things, and you know how people discuss things.
Of course.
So I've had people ask me, because I told them we was going to interview yourself and your predecessor as well, and they said, "Well, find out, do they have to come to a lodge when you invite them?" And I know the answer to that, but I want you to tell people so they know, and I don't have to tell them.
Well, I mean, if we're invited to a lodge, we try very hard. I mean, if there's an event that the membership feels that they want me at, which is an honor for me to be invited, I do my very best to do it, as long as I don't have something previously scheduled or a family commitment. Kim and Kate, my family, they always come first and always will.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the way it should be for every Mason worldwide.
Well said.
But if my calendar's open, I very rarely say no if I've got an open calendar.
Well, and I knew the answer to that, but I've had several people say, they believe, I've had Masons tell me, and these are from older members, that that's the rule that if you get invited, you have to come no matter what. And I said, well, they might have other plans. Oh, no, you can't. Then they, had a Mason ask me if you got a car bought for you when you're Grandmaster. And I said, no, because I said
No,
they're all complaining about mileage. So
oh God, I've got I was in the line and my old car died one day on me as the engine went out as I was on my way home from a board meeting in Springfield, and that's about a 420-mile round trip for me to Springfield and back. But I was just leaving Springfield and got on 55 and the engine died, and so I ended up getting myself a new car. It was a 2017. It was new at the time, and I just on my way back from a board meeting in Springfield today, and I looked at the odometer when I got home, and I think I'm about 230-something thousand miles.
I don't doubt that.
Oh, wow.
I don't doubt that at all, because it's so easy to rack up miles.
Well, Illinois is a massive state.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's very long and it's very wide.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage the calendar? Because you guys are so busy. I mean, there's so many things that you guys do. It's incredible to see how much time you guys. I mean, if there's anyone that gives up a lot of time that I've seen, no one has given. I mean, from what I've seen a fair bit. It's the Grand Lodge. It's the Grand Line. And so, how do you guys manage that really heavy calendar? How do you balance that?
Well, the best answer I can give you is, at least for myself, I balance it with the fact that I've got an incredible family that supports me and doesn't get mad at me when I'm gone a little bit more than I should be. They encourage me to go out and make the visits when I'm invited. Mm-hmm. I tell you, there are days where I just, I go, oh man, I've got to visit someplace, and the weather's a little, it's rainy a little bit, but it's not horrible. And Kim will just say, no, you said you're going, so you put on your suit and you go. So yes, ma'am.
Yeah, well, you got, just like my wife's birthday. There's some things you just can't do.
No. So
you got to listen to them.
So, and it also helps that we have an excellent Grand Secretary in Frank Klein. He keeps a very good track of all of our events. He's constantly updating our shared calendar, and
he's a wonderful man.
Having a good Grand Secretary makes all the difference in the world, and truly, it makes my life a lot easier. I'd be upset without Frank.
Oh, and that all goes down to even in the local area. And I know you've been past master as well, and I'm sure there again, if you've had a good secretary, you had a good year, and if you had a bad one, you had a bad year. There's no way around that. They have so much stuff they got to do that if they don't do it, it puts the whole lodge in turmoil.
It can. But, also I want to say that, though, that falls a little bit on the master, the man sitting in the East. I mean, we like to joke that the secretaries run the lodge, and in a lot of ways they do. But if you've taken that responsibility and that oath, and you're sitting in the East, and you've got the hat on,
mm-hmm.
You've got to rein that in, and you've got to understand that you might have a bad secretary, but you're in charge.
That's right.
You've got to lead.
That's right. And then
I agree. I was more referring to, I'll get this mailed out for you this week.
Oh,
and then a month later you find out, oh, you still haven't mailed it out. So I mean that's where I was referred. Yeah. So but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I was done with my thought. It's just, when you're in the East, you have to just lead, and it's not. And leading is, as anyone who's done it knows, it's not easy. I mean, you really don't lead from the front. You kind of lead from the rear and push people to do better when you know they can do better.
That's right.
And when you know they've hit that wall that they think they can't do better, that's when that a boy and a pat on the back. I mean, let's be honest, we all love that. And a that a boy and you're doing good, but I think you can do a little bit more, but you're doing great. I think in my mind that goes a long way, and I think people truly do appreciate that, and it gives them that the feeling and the knowledge that they are appreciated for what they do, and
they don't burn out so fast.
That's right.
Because I'm telling you, that is so, you gotta, I thought when I joined Masonry that I had better join everything I can. I just had to have everything because
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get enough of it. I didn't join Masonry until I was older. And I thought, man, I've lost so much time because of work. I rotated days to evenings, days to evening. And I thought, well, I'm not going to join something. I just leave them stranded.
Yep.
And now I wish I would have just got what I could have because I just ate it up. But
Sure.
anyway, when you help with, and I mean, I know you can back this up. I help with degrees. I'm no ritualist, but I can do the wardens pretty good and the deacons pretty good. And,
Sure.
they always need those people. And, when you start getting asked 2 or 3 days a week, plus the other activities you have, plus your life, and you don't want to say no because they really need somebody, man, it ain't long before you're just burnt out. And you risk burning out to the point where you don't want to do anything. So you really got to watch and just do what you can do. Like you said, and always put family first.
Yes, and and again with good support mechanisms, and I'm not just talking about my family at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about my Grand Lodge line.
Right.
My deputy Grand Master Jim Williams, our senior Grand Warden Angelo DeSerio,
Mm-hmm.
our junior Grand Warden Pat Grubbs, treasurer, past Grand Master. You know how invaluable it is to have Tony sitting in a board
I
meeting
can only imagine.
right next to me, and if I'm lost, if I'm lost at something, or I'm not sure what I'm still supposed to be doing since I've only been here for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, it's great to have him there. And of course, Grand Secretary Klein, Frank, he's again fountain of knowledge. He's been doing it so bloody long. And,
Yeah.
And even our appointed officers, our deacons, Christopher Both and Chip Smith. My God, what those two guys have done in their professional careers, fountains of knowledge and just good advice. So I'm blessed to have probably the best group of guys backing me up that any grandmaster or any master of a lodge or any member of a fraternity could ever want. And I truly, sincerely mean that. That is the truth.
Tip of the spear. I got to give a shout out to our Grand Secretary Frank. Being an Englishman, I've always got a lot on my mind. Even 4 or 5 years ago, I used to email him because I got his email address, and he responds back. He gets back to you. He's passionate. This is a labor of love for him. He really cares about all the lodges. And back then,
he does.
And back then, I was just that passionate, fiery brother who cared, and he emailed him, and he would and then because of that, I would email him back and forth. And then when I went to England, I used to write long reports of what happened and how cool this was, and made sure that he knew what was going on, and then built up a nice little kind of like correspondence. And you're absolutely right, and it really does feel. What really gets me excited is the tip of the spear, which is the Grand Line and the men, and Jim Williams you mentioned, and the rest. It's just really solid guys. And then it reminds me when you talk about leadership, sometimes what it really is, it's just picking up that phone. Picking up the phone, regardless who it is, whether it's your district deputy Grand Master, and just saying, "Hey, hello, how you doing? How are you feeling? This is what's on my mind. What do you think?" Or picking up the phone to your secretary, or a lot of people these days like to do the texting. I prefer the phone calling, but I don't mind doing the texting as well if that's necessary. And just be active. Don't sit back and have an expectation of things to happen. And if you're lucky, it may happen. Pick up the phone and just let people know that you're around, and here are your thoughts, and take in and absorb from them. And when you talked about Tony, I'm in the same spot. The wealth of past masters that I have in Frank and Nicole, and one thing that I think that's really important that I'm looking forward to implement is we've had these brothers who have really been the core backbone, especially for the new brothers, in building all of us up to where we are, and really getting us excited about the ritual. And we, for the first time, we did this competition in our local area of opening and closing 1, 2, and 3, and we happened to win our area. But if it wasn't for the past masters who are on the sidelines, coming to every practice, and them jumping and backing each other up when one couldn't make it, to be there and help us during the practice and bond with us, we won't be where we are now. And so what I'm going to try and focus is getting these guys and actually recognizing them and putting them in, as heads of committees in stuff that they're actually doing already, but it hasn't been formalized. So I'm creating the committee of, for example, we have some great ritualist instructors who know the ritual pretty much verbatim, and it's kind of shocking, of the entire of the all the ritual. And so it's like, okay, well, that's the ritualist group. This is the group that focus on the Grandmaster's Award of Excellence. This is the group that wants that he already set up a great link between our lodge and another lodge who are co-sponsoring a school for the Scholastic Bowl. So since he's built those relationships and he's excited about it and he's done it, if he wants to carry on, let him carry on and now the system all the way through. But I think there's a lot of brethren who go through the East and then in that year they finish. It's not over. They're still an important part of the lodge, and that invigorates all the young guys because they can see something past the East once they get there and be part of something bigger and take on that responsibility. And I've put up a lot of committees in different organizations, and one thing I've learned in Masonry is experience is a volume of wealth, and sometimes we have to trust into that experience and extrapolate that experience, and put these good men in places where not only they're recognized, but they feel they have the energy and the capacity to do more. And I think that's really important, how to utilize your past masters and synergize them with the young guys. And so everything's led really well. So I'm sorry, I'm just going off on something because you get me so excited, Grandmaster Joe, and I'm trying to add it to something that's kind of local in my area and what's going on, and that's got me very excited. So, and one thing that I would like to remind people of who are listening, who are like me, who've just been installed as worshipful masters of your lodge, we only have 12 months, so it's incumbent on us to not only instill our vision, which is the lodge's vision and the members' vision, but also get the next guy ready and the guy after that. I was just talking to our senior deacon and says, I want next. So we had 57 people turn up to the installation. I want 60, 70 people of quality people coming to see us the year after, because it's not about the person who, the worshipful master is installed. It's about the lodge, everyone, all the officers. So it's something that hopefully we can retain and celebrate and be that beacon to, get everyone more excited about these installations and, make the community who come and help us and we help them more aware of what we're doing. So I think there's a lot there. So my final question, because we are running out of time and we do like to keep these things short, so we can cheekily ask you to come back in a couple of months when more things are happening. My last question is, what is your message to not only the brethren of Illinois who are as excited as I am about the next incoming 2 years, but also Masons around the world and those who are non-Masons? What's your message to them?
Oh boy, that's actually a tough question. I think the only thing I could say is, for the Masons at least, remember the ritual and the things that the third degree obligation is a great example, which I'm not going to get into since we have some non-Masons who listen. But if you really listen to the words that are spoken and you really take them to heart, it really can be a guiding force for a good life, a life well spent. And I think that's the best thing I can say to a Mason is listen to the ritual and live it. And now for non-Masons, I say this jokingly, but don't believe everything you read online.
No kidding. Especially all the things, if we did everything bad. And if we were taking over the world, they forgot to call me. That's all
Well,
I'm gonna say about that.
I had a friend say, well, you want to take over the world again tonight? I said, buddy, we can barely get 7 guys together to make sure we have a quorum to open a lot. If we can take over the world with 7 guys.
Well, I'd like to touch on something. Oh, I'm sorry. Go. I sure didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that was pretty much it.
I wanted to touch on one thing too about encouragement, and I think that's a two-way street. And I believe it. Not only is it important to encourage the people below you, but I think it's very important to encourage that district deputy or a Grand Lodge officer or something, because they're people too, and they get tired just like everybody else. And I know you do too. But no matter who you are, what position you have, if you have somebody come up to you and go, man, you just made my day coming in here. You just inspired me to do something better. I mean, that means a lot.
Well said.
Well, you make a valid point, and I can't take credit for this. This was past Grandmaster Lynch. Made a comment at our statewide district deputy meeting last year, or this year actually, and he said, "You guys," meaning the deputies, "you guys are the linemen. I'm," meaning the Grandmaster, "I'm the quarterback. But no matter how good of a quarterback I am, if we don't have you guys, the linemen out there, blocking for us, doing the hard stuff for us, I can't be Tom Brady. If Tom Brady doesn't have a line protecting him, Tom Brady's not Tom Brady." So, you're right. Our district deputies, our assistant areas, and our area deputies, God bless them. They take the abuse. They take when the member's mad, they go to them. They do the hard work, and I'm eternally grateful for what they do for our fraternity and for our state.
Yeah. Usually we say, Billy, the last words, but since the Grandmaster's on, I think, Billy, it'll be accordingly correct to say, Grandmaster, any last words?
You have to say the last words, sir.
Oh, boy. Well, I want the last words. Thank you guys for allowing me to be interviewed tonight and wanting me to be interviewed tonight. It is truly appreciated. I really believe, not just for Illinois Freemasonry, but for worldwide Freemasonry, we're in that Renaissance period where all jurisdictions are going to start seeing growth, because the values and the morals that Masonry stands for is desperately needed. In my humble opinion, if everyone was a Mason, we could do away with an awful lot of problems in this world. And
Hear.
Just remember your obligation and do the best you can. And just remember, your family and God comes first. And Masonry will be there when you're ready for it to be there.
Thank you for listening to On the Level podcast, your Masonic podcast. When you are ready, duly and truly prepared, you can always knock on the door.